The world of K-pop is no stranger to moments that appear simple on the surface, but suddenly become the center of intense public attention. A glance, a reaction, a brief mention, or even a seemingly ordinary interaction can quickly become a subject of discussion when two of the industry's biggest names are involved. This is exactly what has happened with BTS's Jungkook and Blackpink's Lisa, as fans once again turn their attention to a moment that has sparked curiosity about why Jungkook is sometimes described as someone Lisa admires. At first glance, there may be nothing extraordinary about the situation. Jungkook and Lisa are both global stars who have spent years building their careers under enormous public pressure. Their paths have crossed through the wider K-pop industry, major events, performances, and the shared experience of becoming internationally recognized artists. Yet whenever a particular moment involving their names resurfaces, social media can transform that moment into a much larger conversation. The question that has captured attention is simple but intriguing. Why would Lisa admire Jungkook? Is there something deeper behind the admiration, or is the answer actually much more straightforward than the speculation suggests? The most important point is that admiration should not automatically be interpreted as romantic interest or a secret relationship. Public figures can admire one another for countless reasons, particularly when they belong to the same highly competitive industry. In Jungkook's case, his career offers plenty of reasons for another artist to respect him. From his early days with BTS, Jungkook has been recognized for his ability to develop across multiple areas. Singing, dancing, performing on enormous stages, maintaining a demanding schedule, and adapting to changing expectations have all been part of his journey. His evolution from a young trainee into one of the world's most recognizable K-pop performers is itself a story of persistence. For someone like Lisa, who has experienced a similarly demanding journey, those qualities may naturally be familiar and admirable. Lisa's own career has followed a remarkable trajectory. From her early days as a Blackpink member to her emergence as a global solo performer, she has had to navigate enormous expectations. She has performed before international audiences, entered new markets, worked with artists from different backgrounds, and continuously faced scrutiny over every professional decision. That shared experience is perhaps the most fascinating part of the discussion. Jungkook and Lisa represent different groups, different creative identities, and different career paths, yet both have experienced what it means to grow up in the public eye. Both have faced the pressure of maintaining an image while simultaneously proving themselves as individual artists. Both have had to demonstrate that their success was not simply the result of being members of famous groups. This is why a particular moment between or involving their names can feel significant to fans. When audiences revisit old clips, interviews, performances, or public appearances, they often notice details that were overlooked the first time. A reaction that once seemed ordinary can suddenly appear meaningful after years of additional context. Social media intensifies this effect because short clips can be separated from their original context and shared repeatedly, allowing interpretations to multiply. One fan sees professional respect, another sees admiration. Someone else may interpret a facial expression as evidence of something more personal. Before long, a few seconds of footage can become the foundation for an enormous online discussion. But there is an important distinction between what is observable and what is speculation. There is no reliable basis for declaring that Jungkook and Lisa have a secret romantic relationship simply because fans interpret a moment as meaningful. Unless the artists themselves confirm such a relationship, claims about their private lives remain speculation. The same principle applies to the idea that Lisa's admiration for Jungkook must have a hidden explanation. Perhaps the answer is much simpler. Jungkook's professional qualities may simply be what makes him worthy of admiration. His stage presence, work ethic, versatility, and ability to remain relevant while continuously evolving are characteristics that fellow performers can respect. For an artist working in the same industry, watching someone successfully handle the pressure of global fame can be inspiring. The same can be said about Lisa. She has built an identity that extends beyond Blackpink, proving her ability to stand on her own while remaining connected to one of the most successful girl groups in the world. Her determination and adaptability have also made her an example for younger performers. This is where the story becomes more interesting than a simple rumor. Rather than asking whether one artist secretly has feelings for another, perhaps fans should ask what their respective journeys reveal about the nature of modern K-pop success. Jungkook and Lisa are examples of artists who began their careers at young ages and gradually learned how to operate under an extraordinary level of attention. Their similarities may explain why fans are so fascinated whenever their names appear together. There is also another factor: the enormous influence of fandom culture. BTS and Blackpink have two of the most passionate global fan communities in popular music. When members of these groups are connected in any way, even indirectly, discussions can spread extremely quickly. A single post can lead to thousands of reactions. A short video can be reposted across multiple platforms. Fans may compare performances, interviews, fashion choices, awards, achievements, or career milestones. Eventually, a narrative begins to form, even when the original moment was never intended to communicate anything beyond professional respect. This does not mean the fans' curiosity is meaningless. On the contrary, curiosity is part of what makes celebrity culture so powerful. People become emotionally invested in artists whose music, personalities, and stories have accompanied them through different stages of life. However, curiosity becomes more interesting when it is separated from certainty. The moment that sparked renewed discussion may indeed show admiration, but the precise reason behind it cannot be known unless Lisa herself explains it. Anything beyond the available evidence should be treated as interpretation rather than fact. And perhaps that uncertainty is exactly why the topic continues to attract attention. If Lisa genuinely respects Jungkook as an artist, that alone is a compelling story. It highlights how even global superstars can recognize the talent and determination of their peers. It also reminds fans that admiration between artists does not necessarily need to carry a romantic meaning. Jungkook's journey is impressive enough to inspire respect on its own. From performing as a member of BTS to developing his identity as a solo artist, he has repeatedly demonstrated the ability to step into unfamiliar territory. Each new chapter has brought a different challenge, and his willingness to take those challenges seriously has helped establish his position on the global stage. For Lisa, who has faced many of the same pressures in her own way, recognizing those qualities would be completely understandable. So, when fans ask why Jungkook is said to be admired by Lisa, the answer may not be hidden in some secret relationship or mysterious revelation. It may be hiding in something far more visible: his journey, his discipline, his talent, and the way he has continued to grow under intense pressure. The viral moment may have opened the door to speculation, but the larger story is about two artists who have achieved extraordinary success after years of hard work. And perhaps that is the part audiences should remember. Behind every viral clip is a much longer story that cannot be reduced to a few seconds. Behind every expression is a context that viewers may not know. And behind every superstar is a journey filled with challenges that only fellow performers may truly understand. Whether fans continue to interpret the moment as simple professional admiration or something more mysterious, one thing is certain: the combination of Jungkook and Lisa remains powerful enough to capture global attention. The speculation may continue, the theories may grow, and social media may continue dissecting every detail. But until the artists themselves provide an explanation, the most responsible conclusion is also the simplest one. Admiration can exist without romance. Respect can exist without secrecy. And a memorable moment does not automatically reveal a hidden relationship. Perhaps the real mystery was never what happened between Jungkook and Lisa. Perhaps the real story is why a single moment involving two global stars can make millions of people stop, watch, and ask the same question all over again. As the discussion continued to spread, another layer of the story began to emerge. What initially appeared to be an ordinary moment suddenly became something fans wanted to examine from every possible angle. Social media users began replaying the footage, comparing reactions, discussing expressions, and searching for additional context. The more they watched, the more questions appeared. Yet the fascination was not necessarily because the moment contained an obvious revelation. In many cases, it was precisely because the moment was subtle. That subtlety created room for interpretation. For millions of K-pop fans, Jungkook and Lisa are not simply two celebrities. They are representatives of an era in which Korean pop culture has moved from being a regional phenomenon into a genuinely global force. Their careers have unfolded before an international audience, and almost every public appearance can be captured, analyzed, and discussed within minutes. That environment changes the meaning of seemingly ordinary interactions. A decade ago, a brief reaction between two performers might have disappeared after a television broadcast ended. Today, the same reaction can be clipped, edited, reposted, translated, and viewed millions of times. Context can become separated from the original footage, while interpretations become increasingly dramatic. This is why the moment involving Jungkook and Lisa continues to attract attention. Some fans believe the interaction demonstrates genuine respect between two accomplished performers. Others remain convinced that there is a deeper story that has not yet been publicly explained. But between those two extremes lies a more realistic possibility. Perhaps there is nothing secret at all. Perhaps two successful artists simply recognize something admirable in each other. That possibility may sound less dramatic, but it actually tells a powerful story about the modern entertainment industry. Jungkook's career has required extraordinary consistency. The public often sees the finished performance, the lights, the choreography, the screaming crowd, and the polished image. What audiences do not always see are the countless hours of preparation behind those moments. For artists who have lived through the same process, that effort can be easier to recognize. Lisa understands that reality as well. Her performances may appear effortless to audiences, but becoming an international performer requires discipline that extends far beyond what is visible on stage. Training, rehearsals, travel, recording sessions, promotional commitments, and constant public scrutiny create a lifestyle that few people outside the entertainment industry truly understand. This shared reality could easily create professional respect, and perhaps that is why the moment feels so significant to fans. They are not merely watching two celebrities. They are watching two artists whose careers have followed surprisingly parallel paths in several respects. Both began their journeys at young ages. Both became members of enormously successful groups. Both eventually pursued individual projects. Both faced expectations that grew larger with every achievement. And both discovered that global success comes with a level of scrutiny that can be almost impossible to escape. Their stories are different, but the pressure is familiar. That is where the idea of admiration becomes particularly compelling. Admiration does not require constant communication. It does not require a secret meeting or a hidden relationship. Sometimes it is simply the recognition that another person has achieved something difficult. A performer can watch another performer dominate a stage and think, that is impressive. A singer can respect another singer's ability to control a live audience. An artist can admire another artist's courage to step outside a familiar environment. None of these things need to become romantic. Nevertheless, fandom culture often creates a hunger for a bigger explanation. Fans naturally search for narratives because narratives are easier to remember than isolated moments. When two famous people appear connected, audiences want to know why. That curiosity is not unique to Jungkook and Lisa. It is a recurring phenomenon throughout entertainment history. What makes this particular discussion especially intense is the enormous popularity of both artists. Jungkook has become one of the most recognizable members of BTS, while Lisa has established herself as one of Blackpink's most internationally visible figures. Their individual names carry enormous attention, meaning that even an innocent moment can generate headlines far beyond its original significance. The internet then adds another ingredient: repetition. A moment seen once may feel ordinary. A moment seen 50 times can begin to feel extraordinary. Every replay encourages viewers to look for another detail. Every reaction becomes a potential clue. Every pause can be interpreted as meaningful. Eventually, the audience may become more focused on what the moment could mean than on what it actually shows. That distinction matters. There is nothing wrong with discussing possibilities, but speculation should remain speculation. Without direct confirmation, audiences cannot know what Jungkook or Lisa privately think, feel, or discuss. The mystery therefore remains unresolved. And perhaps that unresolved quality is exactly what keeps the story alive. Fans continue to ask whether the moment was simply a sign of professional respect, whether it reflected admiration for each other's careers, or whether there was another explanation that has not been made public. Every theory creates another question, and every question creates another reason to revisit the footage. But eventually, the conversation returns to the same undeniable fact. Both artists have earned their positions through years of work. That achievement deserves attention independently of speculation. Jungkook's story is one of transformation. He entered the industry as a young performer and eventually became a global solo artist capable of carrying enormous stages on his own. Lisa's story is similarly defined by transformation, moving from group success toward an increasingly independent global identity. Their journeys demonstrate that success at the highest level is rarely accidental. So when a moment causes fans to say that Lisa admires Jungkook, perhaps the most meaningful interpretation is not that the moment exposes something hidden, but that it reminds audiences how much these artists have accomplished. There is also a lesson for fans in the way the story has unfolded. The most powerful moments do not always need a sensational explanation. Sometimes the truth is more ordinary and, in its own way, more inspiring. Respect between artists can be meaningful. Recognition between performers can be meaningful. Seeing another person succeed after years of struggle can be meaningful. And if that is what the moment represented, then perhaps it deserves to be remembered not as evidence of a secret relationship, but as a glimpse into the mutual respect that can exist between two people who understand the extraordinary demands of life under the spotlight. For now, however, the public is left with questions rather than definitive answers. The clip will continue circulating. Fans will continue discussing it. New interpretations will undoubtedly appear. Some will be reasonable, while others may stretch far beyond the available evidence.